these are spineless men who have a low testosterone count, who are usually whipped by their wife. If you look at the dynamics, by the way, a lot of these men who are become very dysfunctional father-in-laws are usually whipped by their own wives. They don't have that masculine frame. When you've got the masculine frame, you respect another man. You know he's a man. He's your son-in-law. Respect him, man to man.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Disqualified Dads. We have the return of Dr. Asif back on the show so soon. But before I reintroduce Dr. Asif, just to remind you all, please hit the subscribe button, follow and share. And those who want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link in the description. Please help support the channel. To the sponsor that's been sending me 20 quid every month, I've got a t-shirt here for you. Email me your t-shirt size and your address and I'll send you one out. And also I have a t-shirt here for Dr. Asif. Dr. Asif, thank you for coming on again.
Thank you very much.
There's a t-shirt for you. Now, Dr. Asif, I didn't think we'd be doing this again so soon. I'm still mentally recovering from our last podcast. My brain cells are not fully recovered, but we'll go again. Do you want to just reintroduce yourself to any new followers or subscribers and just tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll jump straight into it?
Well, firstly, Farouk, thank you for having me back. I'm a big fan of your channel, and thank you for the t-shirt. I'm going to wear this with pride. Actually, I'm going to wear this on my Masculine Mastery podcast. I'm going to wear it and support you always, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So I'm Dr. Asif, a NHS doctor, but now work as a men's mindset and life coach. I coach men who have gone through the terrible ordeal of the British court system post-divorce, particularly Asian and Muslim men who have gone through the legal system as well as the Islamic system as well. So they've got a double barrage of hits, and I help them recover physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and I do that via the University of Masculinity. I also do run a podcast as well called Masculine Mastery, where we help men with their mindset. And just generally, I like to be involved in issues that matter to men, and Farouk's doing a great job. So thank you for having me, Farouk.
Right, perfect, Dr. Asif. Right, let's just jump straight into it. What it is, I spoke to her father today, Dr. Asif, just today. His missus has initiated the divorce. She's determined to get it done. Now, luckily for this father, he's still housed. He's got access to his children. It's been done over a table.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. But for those who are going through it that did not want the divorce, those men that are effectively heartbroken, is there any advice you can give to those guys to help them get through these long days and nights, to get through this heartbreak, and to start accepting that, look, still got access to your kids, which is a good thing, right? In this case, obviously not in all cases, but how, or can you give us some practical methods on how they can start building to get to a place where they're not hurting and they can sort of carry on, sort of thing, you know?
Right.
So any advice would be helpful.
Yeah. So advice, first and foremost, it's it's a terrible situation you find yourself in. It's becoming increasingly more common. 60 to 70% of divorces are initiated by the woman. That rises to 80 to 90% when she is university educated. That is a terrible statistic. That's harrowing. But for this brother and for the brothers that are going through this process where the woman has initiated the divorce, I would say, work on yourself. See this opportunity as a God-given gift to improve yourself. See this as a new lease of life. She wanted a divorce. Why? Because she thought she could do better. Now you need to become the best she will ever, you need to become the best you will never have now. So this is the new phase of your life. Get in shape, get to the gym, eat out, socialize again, take up a new hobby. But the biggest thing I say to guys is get in shape, lose that weight, or if you've not got much weight, put some muscle on. Why is that important? Because muscle gives you confidence. When you've got more muscle, when you're in shape, you speak more confidently, you look better, clothes fit you better. That new lease of confidence will improve your prospects in the dating market, will improve your prospects in the job market. You will earn more, you will upskill, and you will get a better partner eventually. She left you, or she initiated the divorce because she thought she didn't bet on your future. And that's the whole thing. Women tend to be very short-sighted. They don't see the man's potential. They see him for what he is now. And what you were now, she didn't see much potential going forward. It's your opportunity to prove her wrong. Use the heartbreak as a real strong, forget fuel, this is V8, V12 powered jet fuel. Use this as a jet fuel to get you to the next level. I always say use heartbreak to unleash version 2 and then version 3.
Okay, so step one, embrace the fact that, look, it is what it is, it's done. Then turn this into an opportunity to say, look, it's happened, it is what it is. Let me see where I can go from here.
Yeah.
Get to the gym, start getting active, start getting in shape, and just start improving yourself as a person. Because in time, it is possible that you might be happy again. You might meet someone, be happy, but your chances of that happening, to increase the chances of that to happen, you need to put some work in, effectively.
Exactly.
Get in shape,
100%.
study, try and get promoted, try and chase
self-improvement. Use this as fuel to level up. Use heartbreak as fuel to level up. And they say, don't become bitter, become better.
Yes.
So embitterment doesn't serve you. It's only going to take up space in your head. Rent free. It's going to live in your head rent free. Drop the resentment. Wish her well. And if you've got kids, see them whenever you can. Wish her well. But you become so good that, you know what, in 5 years' time, when she boomerangs back around again, you say, you know what, you aren't my type anymore. I'm playing a different game now. That's on you to get in shape. And Farouk, is a great example. Every time I come, it gives me sparkling water. This is just an indication. Get in shape, man. Stop your Cokes and your Diet Cokes and your Pepsis and your Tangos and Rubicons and tea with free sugars. Just fast, get in shape, lose weight, build muscle, and that's not only going to get you more confident, but honestly, more muscle equals more testosterone. More testosterone equals better functioning, executive functioning, and better decisions, more confidence, etc. So become a better version of yourself as a man through the heartbreak.
Snap out of it, lads, and get to work. Right. The other thing we didn't get to talk about in the last podcast, which I really wanted to get your sort of opinion on it and your insight on it, especially as you're working in the field of coaching men. And we know, obviously, in these last few years, the red pill analogies and the movement itself, I mean, either it was always there and I never noticed it, or it's really come to the surface. Everyone knows something about it.
Yeah.
What do you make of the whole red pill movement as a whole, and how would you, like being a Muslim as well, how do you decipher it all, and which bits do you sort of accept and which bits would you say are not feasible for us, or if you're living an Islamic lifestyle? What was your take on the whole thing?
Cool. As a Muslim, our yardstick is always Islam. We view the world through the lens of Islam. And with anything, even like veganism and all these isms, we can take the good from it. For instance, veganism says treat animals good. So we take that, but we use it from an Islamic point of view. Red pill as well. Red pill says know your value and improve, radical self-improvement, accept your situation, and no excuses. Nobody cares. Just improve. Don't chase women. Don't pedestalize women, but chase self-improvement. Once you chase self-improvement, things will come your way as well. It's like the story of Solomon, Prophet Solomon in the Bible. He's also mentioned in the Quran. And there's a narration in the Bible that says when he asked God for wisdom, not for kingdom and for power. And when he got wisdom, he got kingdom and power at the same time. It's the same thing. Red Pill says, don't chase women, chase self-improvement. With self-improvement, money will come. And with the money, other things in life will come as well, one of them being women. But when you chase women, other things might not be there. And that's where you get the whole concept of simping, which Red Pill is again. Stop simping. Simping means putting women on a pedestal. At the same time, your health's deteriorating. Financially not as good as you should be. So forget women. Women will come, but never put a woman on a pedestal. Put your mission first.
I think, being obviously South Indian, growing up, if you're a certain generation, you always grow up with Bollywood. It's a big culture, and there's that subconscious programming from childhood. You grow up, you get married, you'll find a lovely, Bollywood queen. You're gonna get married, live happily ever after. I think it's that subconscious imprinting of happiness is that destination.
Yeah.
but real life, as we know, is not exactly like that. So it's that.
It's not, yeah.
Don't put that as your destination, the
Yeah.
be all and the end all. Ultimately,
Farouk, can I give your viewers some advice? Yeah,
yeah, go, yeah,
this
yeah.
is from my brother. Me and Farouk are similar age. We've been through a similar process. 2 kids as well. Islam. Most of your viewers are Muslim, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's a
Can I
mix.
speak about Islam?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, is it
talk. Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to
Openly.
alienate people who want.
No, no. My
Uh,
view is a mix. Like I said, I think I've had non-Muslim people on here. Do you know what I
oh,
mean? So
okay.
it's quite a mixed bag. But
Okay.
yeah, I talk to everyone. So
Okay.
yeah, if you want to talk
But, but,
Islam,
but,
yeah, yeah, talk
but
Islam as
this is
well.
speaking specifically to Muslims. And I'm a Muslim, Farouk's a Muslim. Okay, we've been married to Muslim women in the past. Okay, so this is to the Muslim men. Okay, Islam and culture, there's some similarities, but you, like I said with the red pill, you view things, ologies, and isms through the lens of Islam. Whatever is good in the Gujarati culture
Hmm.
or Pathan culture, you take it. Whatever is bad, you leave it.
Hmm.
Okay, same as English culture. I love fish and chips, but I make sure they aren't beer battered. You know what I mean? Like, I take the good, but I leave the bad. So same with whatever culture you're from. In the South Asian Desi culture, especially if you're Muslim, we say, oh, one woman for life, wife for life. Actually, Islam, it doesn't teach this. Islam says you can marry up to four,
Hmm.
okay? And this whole Bollywood thing of you chasing a woman, Islam says, no, you don't chase a woman. A woman chases you, actually. She proposes to you in a way. But you need to get to that level as a man. You're successful, you're savvy, you're an eligible bachelor, and women will then come to you, as opposed to you pedestalizing woman and running after her on a train like Shah Rukh Khan. That's not Islam. Islam says you build yourself up as a man, then you get the pickings of whichever woman you want. Islam is beautiful. Islam makes marriage very easy. A lot of men are heartbroken because they follow this socio-cultural trap that Farouk mentioned, where the Bollywood trap, where you chase women, you end up marrying the love of your life, whatever. All drama plays out in the end, and then you end up divorced, etc. That's not Islam. Doesn't teach it. Islam says, look, you can marry up to 4 women, provided you look after them, but you become the catch. She's not the catch. You become the catch.
So it goes back to So it goes back to all of this, like you said, from the Islamic perspective, the red pill perspective, and let's say from the angle of, because what I say to fathers as well, look, before you say you want to be happy again, your happiness is placed in another woman, which you're
Yes.
relying on. If now this is my point, right? Yeah, I keep telling anyone, instead of saying what she can do for you and make it, what can you give to her?
Yeah, exactly.
What have you got to offer?
Mm,
And this idea where you're looking for an external source of happiness is
yeah.
a very
Dangerous.
dangerous road. You have to be complete within yourself,
Yes.
fulfilled within yourself, and you'll give off a certain energy when you're comfortable and happy within yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm trying to say. The battle is within, it's not external.
100%. Putting someone as your source of happiness because you were empty is a very dangerous thing to do, because that's too much burden.
On the relationship.
Exactly. Her shoulders can't take that. And that's called codependency.
Right.
Codependency
Okay.
is very, very dangerous. You are codependent. No, you should be synergistic and symbiotic where you grow together. But you're not her counselor. You are not her counselor.
Yeah, see, I think there's a lot of guys, yeah, or a lot of fathers I speak to, and how can I put it? When you strip it back now, yeah,
Mhm.
you strip it back to basic emotion. There is an element of that happiness is placed within a marriage or a woman. Yes, it's sunnah, get married, it's the right thing, but that's not the be all and end all.
Yeah,
Secondly, don't always look for that external validation,
yeah.
even if it's from a wife,
Yeah.
or rely on her to make you happy. You keep each other happy, but that idea that you're going into this relationship to take this, that will affect the dynamics in the
Yeah,
relationship. And
exactly.
sometimes that is not a healthy way, I think, to go looking for a spouse.
100%. It's completely got the value system skewed. And I say this to all the guys listening. Her happiness is not your job. Her happiness is her job. Your happiness is your job. Do not place your happiness in her, nor should she place her happiness in you. You should be self sufficient, wanting marriage, not needing marriage. A lot of
Oh,
brothers need
not
marriage.
needing, yes, wanting, not needing.
Exactly.
There's
You
a
already you already
difference.
full. She's a sprinkle on the top. She's a cherry on the top. A lot of brothers have an empty cake cup, and they want
Yeah,
her to fill the dough.
I think that's the key. If you're you're fulfilled within yourself,
Yeah.
you're happy with yourself, you're confident, like they say, it sort of that energy goes.
Yeah, you
Right,
exude
it
it.
girls like a man that's confident.
Absolutely.
You can only be confident if you're fulfilled within yourself and happy
100%.
within yourself. And in order to do that, it comes back down to you need to put the physical, mental, the spiritual work
Yeah,
in,
100%.
basically.
100%, guys. And listen, guys, sparkling water. I think you should open your disqualified dad's brand.
Disqualified, listen, it's coming. Disqualified dads, prison water, family court system water, t-shirts, branding, suits. I'm going to be selling these suits to tradesmen soon. You know, they have disqualified dad's branding on there. It's going to happen.
Get the message. But honestly, serious point, guys. Seriously, stop drinking calories. One thing that I learned, as a doctor, I can tell you in my coaching, when I speak to the guys, I said, what do you eat? Well, I just eat, one sandwich and a few chips. Okay, not many calories. What do you drink? I drink a latte with caramel syrup, then I drink a cappuccino, then I have a couple of Red Bulls, and then I have Diet Coke, and then bro, you're having 1,000 calories just drinking. So stop drinking calories, guys. Eat your calories. And so 90% of your physique is your diet. 90%, okay? 10% is your working out. So if you want to get in shape physically and mentally, and then financially and spiritually and socially, get in shape nutritionally.
Right, doctor, we shall go to a quick break and we'll jump straight back in. Right, we are back. I just want to apologise to Dr. Asif for messing him about. We've had to change location. I was winging it at the other place and we got found out. So we had to leave urgently. So
I'm man in orange, always gets found out.
I am a prisoner. I just get by, hustle, and I survive. So yeah, I got found out in the end. Right, Dr. Asif, we left off the last conversation where we're talking about men recovering from divorce, men getting coaching, self-improving, and building himself back up. We discussed the red pill. So as we're on the subject, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of, I never thought I'd be talking about this directly, but I think if you're in this space where you're a father, you've lost contact, you're in this space, you have to mention Andrew Tate at some point. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, what is your take on Andrew Tate coming to Islam? What is your thoughts on all of that,
Right.
as far as Andrew Tate is concerned?
Cool. So even before he became a Muslim, which is almost a year ago now, I was a big fan. Obviously, I had my reservations about his lifestyle and the whole webcam business. But now, from what I've heard, since Islam, he's completely disassociated himself from that with his brother. His brother still does it, but he doesn't. Doesn't drink anymore, doesn't womanize. So if he's become a Muslim who's probably got less sins than me or you, because everything's been wiped clean,
Yes.
then I can't say anything bad about him. I think he's a force for good. He certainly helped me strengthen my mindset. You learn from people who are much ahead of you. So in many metrics and aspects, he was ahead of me, physically, financially, and particularly in terms of his mindset. His mindset was so strong.
I think the key is what people don't realise, because I think some people that I speak to that are, say, anti-Andrew Tate, this is how he... I think, the bravado and the language, they can't look past that at the bigger, deeper message.
Exactly.
And his mental, as he says it, the frames he's built in his mind, you've got to give credit to that, I think.
100%. Like, he came at a time, I spoke to my friend about this as well. He came at a time in my life when I needed him the most. Literally, I needed him the most. I was going through my own personal problems, and I had someone stronger than me. I'm the eldest of 6 kids. I don't have anyone older than me in my family.
You got no one to look up to.
Exactly.
So the buck stops with you.
Absolutely. So I had to be the blueprint, and for me, he gave me the blueprint, particularly when he was talking about Islam. And when he became a Muslim last year, in October, and then he went to prison and all these things. I thought, this brother's going through so much strife and struggle, yet he's still smiling and praying and reading the Quran. It's a real incentive and a wake-up call for us that regardless of what you're going through, Allah is doing it from love. Whether you're going through divorce, whether you're going through breakup, separation, alienation, this is from His love. And it's only going to improve you if you use it to improve you and use it to become better, not bitter.
Okay, so I'll ask you this again. We touched on this last week, but obviously time was short last on the last podcast. Yeah, would you have understood his message prior to going on your own journey, or would it have just been too much to fully understand the depth of it?
Very good question, Farooq. Very good question. I think he came at the right time for me.
Yeah,
Perhaps if I was more comfortable in my life,
you wouldn't have understood it.
I wouldn't understand it. No,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why I said to my friend, honestly, I do feel Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His mercy, puts the right people at the right time.
Yeah. No, look, I'm not gonna lie. I have taken a lot of lessons from the whole red pill study, Andrew Tate, the stuff he talks about, and then I've thought about my own life, and I thought, okay, he said I used to do this. For example, simple example, he talks about money, and I thought, yeah, I used to do that. He said I used to work 36-hour days. Bro, we're East South Indian, bro. I've been working 36-hour days from day dot, yeah.
Yeah.
So I figured maybe you have the mechanics there. You just need someone to point out that you're no different. You've got the tools and the mechanisms there. So
Exactly.
I definitely took lessons from. I take lessons from anyone and everyone. I
Yeah.
took many lessons from there. So look, definitely.
100%.
All right. So look, let's move on a little bit. Yeah. Um, let's talk about. Last week. Let's talk about last week's subject again, just a little bit. Touch on it. Yeah. I think you talked about the psychology around the emotional irregularities, the personality disorders, the narcissistic personality disorder, schizophrenia. I think that whole conversation was I was fully, like I said, my brain hasn't been that lit up for a long time, yeah. And I think it validated a lot of things that I knew, but I don't have the language or the medical knowledge to articulate that. So, and like I said, there must be a lot of men out there that are in these relationships. They don't know if it's them, it's the other person. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to articulate. So I think that's going to be very beneficial for those men to know that it's not them.
Yeah.
It's not a figment of their imagination.
Yeah.
There is a problem, and it's not you. We can rest assured. So
It's a figment of her imagination.
yeah, unfortunately, yes, and that is exactly. So I think we covered quite a bit there.
Yeah.
The one thing I forgot to ask you, I thought about afterwards, which I might as well ask you now. So we covered the borderline personality disorder, mild and extreme. Borderline narcissistic personality disorder, mild and extreme. You mentioned schizophrenia. Where does bipolar disorder fit into that equation?
Right, okay.
And what's the difference? What is bipolar disorder, and what's the difference between that and the others?
Right, so okay, bipolar is you having two extremes. So you got the manic, mania, and depressive. The other name for it is manic depressive disorder.
Right, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, manic depressive. So mania, as in you're manic, as in you're very
Excitable.
Excitable.
That's the word. Yeah.
You're very excitable. You're on edge. You're the opposite of depressed. And depression, as the word suggests, you are depressed. Your mood is low.
You're suppressed.
Yeah, suppressed in a way. You're less fun to be around. You spend a lot of time indoors. You've lost your libido. You've lost your.
You got no light energy for life.
Yeah, exactly. So many, your drive, perhaps. You've lost your ambition, that spark in your life. You've lost that. That's depression and bipolar. We can get bipolar disorder where you have 2 or 3 depressive episodes in a year and 5 or 6 manic episodes in a year, and they can last for a few days or a few weeks. Usually a few days, really. Depression can last a bit longer, but you have both in the same year. The other thing is something called cyclothymia. Cyclo means cycle. Thymia means mood. Because
Right.
the word euthymia means normal mood. So cyclothymia means a more moderate form of bipolar. That's where you have not something classed as manic, but you have excitable episodes.
Right.
And you have low mood episodes as well, but not enough to be classed as depression.
Okay.
So you have ups and downs, but not the extremes of bipolar disease. And bipolar disorder, you get people who are, you could say it's the more extreme version of borderline personality disorder, because in borderline personality disorder, you can't emotionally regulate. In bipolar, you can't regulate because you're up and down. You're manic and you're depressed.
Okay, so all right, just from a layman's perspective, so I understand it. Yeah, bipolar disorder is similar to borderline personality disorder with the irregularity.
That's the only thing.
It's just an extreme version of the irregularity.
Yeah,
One minute you could be up there,
Yeah.
next minute you come crashing
Exactly.
down.
And then what I mentioned last episode was I need to stress borderline is borderline. It's just literally on the borderline.
So
whereas bipolar is on the extreme end of that.
okay, so right. So this borderline. So let's say, unfortunately, what some of the brothers have dealt with is this borderline personality disorder. So to the world, she's the lovely wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, no one will clock it. He's the monster. Yeah. He'd be better off if she had bipolar disorder, because people will be able to tell she's up, she's down. there's an
Exactly.
issue, and he's not a monster.
If you had bipolar, we usually give people lithium. Lithium is the treatment of choice. Lithium.
As in the metal.
Yeah, metal. Yeah, it's in tablet form. The lithium is a mood stabilizer. Because
Right.
what you need to do is stabilize your mood
Okay.
to a nice, to a nice
Steady line.
Yeah, medium. You don't want manic episodes. You don't want depressive episodes.
Stable. So keep them stable. Yeah.
It's called a mood stabilizer. So lithium is the mood stabilizer we give in bipolar. However, in borderline personality disorder, there's no drug or tablet we give them because it's just borderline. It's like pre-diabetes or borderline diabetes. If you're borderline diabetic, we don't give you metformin. We tell you to adjust your diet because you're borderline diabetic.
Okay, right. I'm going to ask you a slightly unrelated question, yeah, from a personal experience. Do you know anything about mercury poisoning? If someone had mercury poisoning, how does that affect?
Okay.
Do you know
okay.
Just because I've had exposure to some serious mercury, yeah.
Okay.
I thought I might as well get the insight while you're here.
Mercury is found in tuna cans, so that's why all the listeners out there, if you're gonna have tuna, minimize your tuna consumption because tuna's got mercury in.
I've heard this. Someone said to me, but I presume it was tuna. I presume because the mercury in the earth and the sea.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
Tuna, it's from the can. It's not from the tuna. It's from the can.
It's not from the can because you got cans of beans and cans of chickpeas. It's not. It's actually canned tuna. It's not the can.
The combination of the tuna and the can.
Yeah, no, it's just the tuna because it's quite processed and it's heavier in because mercury is a heavy metal.
Yes.
And it finds its way into commercially caught tuna. If you are going to get tuna, get yellowfin steak tuna steak, yellowfin tuna. That's more. What's the word?
It doesn't have the metal.
Yeah, exactly. It's more kind of organic.
Yeah,
it's more pure as opposed to the commercially farmed tuna, which is found in canned. Because think about it, it's instant coffee and good quality bean coffee. It's like a difference, isn't it? You can get it's tuna steak, which is nice, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can get a canned tuna, which is like the lowest form of tuna. Very heavy in mercury. Yeah. So, mercury. So there's mercury poisoning. Have you heard of the book, The Pied Piper?
Yes.
Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatters, yeah, I've heard that.
So the hat was made from mercury.
Yeah, and they went mad.
Yeah, Mad Hatter disease. Yeah. And if you read Romeo and Juliet, Romeo, I think his cousin, is called Mercutio.
Yes.
Mercurial. He was mercurial. He's up and down.
Yeah.
So mercury poisoning causes you to be up and down. What does mercury do? So think about mercury. Temperature gauge. Thank you, brother.
Some leaves on the side.
Oh, thank you so much. Mercury, if you look at a temperature gauge,
have
you not seen it?
It rises.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
So we call them.
Yes, please. Brown sugar.
Mercury rises. Of course, someone who is mercurial is like mercury up and down. Up and down. And mercury that rises with temperature gauge. So we call that person mercurial. And Shakespeare knew about this, and he called Mercutio.
Because of that.
Yeah. If you watch the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Mercutio starts killing people. He's a crazy guy. So Mad Hatter's disease, which used to be called Mad Hatter's disease, magnesium, Mg2+, that's the chemical name for it. You can test it on a blood test. When we test it in all our guys, because as a man, you need magnesium. Low magnesium can cause low testosterone and low sperm count. Magnesium and zinc is important for a man, but excessive amounts can cause mercury poisoning.
Just now that you touch on it, so I'll forget you. Where do you get natural magnesium from then? Where is it found in food, like meat or something? Like, what is it?
Yeah, so
beef or something.
Yeah,
amino acids.
So if you have a balanced diet, lots of greens, different colored vegetables, your meats, your chicken, your red meat, you have your lentils, you should be replete in your folate, your ferritin, they're the macronutrients. Also, the minerals like magnesium is a mineral. You should be replete in your minerals, calcium, magnesium. Also, cow's milk has magnesium in there. But if you have a balanced diet, dairy, greens, vegetables, meats, you should be okay in magnesium. But I do recommend guys to take ZMA, zinc magnesium compound. Gotcha. ZMA. You can get that from Holland and Barrett and Boots. All guys should take vitamin D, zinc, and magnesium.
Right.
I take it. I take it every day.
You're in good shape. Yeah.
Thank
Listen,
you.
maybe
I'm
I
in
should
good
be
shape because I've got the bespoke fitted,
disqualified.
dance,
Yeah.
guys. Great top. It's like made for me, man.
It was made for you, but that's what I mean.
It's
To me,
bespoke.
I'm not going to wear it anymore. I've got them. I ain't going to wear them. It's just ain't going to look the same anymore. All right. So just want to talk about, while this is a personal thing, so I apologise, but it's good information. So if you do find yourself with a, say, mercury epidemic, yeah, so we should mark that. If you find yourself in a situation where you're exposed to mercury or you're doing a mercury cleanup, yeah, I was told or advised I used magnesium powder and some sort of sulfur powder to neutralize the mercury.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you with your knowledge? Did I do the right thing?
Yeah. So yeah, mercury poisoning, if it's too much, there are things which we call chelation therapy, which remove the toxins from the body. But I'm not entirely sure about magnesium as a
Not for the cleanup, not for the body.
Yeah,
This is for the environment.
or for the
Yeah, for example, to stop the mercury vapors rising from the contaminated area.
yeah.
In order to neutralize those vapors, because
Okay.
mercury vapors hang around for a long time, they say low level, kids
Yeah.
crawling around, babies, affects them. So
Yeah.
to neutralize it using magnesium powder, potentially
Yeah.
zinc powder and sulfur
Yeah,
powder.
exactly.
Do you know anything around?
I'm not a chemical engineer, so I wouldn't know. But I know medically, the best way to treat mercury poisoning is to reduce the exposure
Yes.
and then monitor symptoms. And then sometimes, if it's severe, it can cause like what we call icterus. Icterus is like fidgety kind of, like what do you call it?
Restlessness.
Restlessness, yeah.
Right.
Icterus, yeah.
Interesting.
That's mercury poisoning. Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
That's a great embodiment of mercury poisoning.
Yeah. Well, if any sisters are watching, I'm okay. I've got no issues. I've come out okay from this poisoning. I'm good. I've got no issues. Yeah.
I'm his doctor. I'll make sure he's okay. I'll do the blood test.
Let's move on swiftly before anyone gets any ideas. Right. Okay. Right. Let's talk about obviously what we touched on earlier off camera, which what we discussed about the inter-family dynamics
Yeah.
when an individual gets married, because obviously it's very clear that, look, some young person gets married now, this assumption that he knows how to navigate through these relationships with the father-in-law, brothers-in-law, sister-in-law, and the problems that that brings, the boundaries that have to be respected. And as I say to people, if you lose respect in front of your, say, your father-in-law, brother, lost respect
can't be
can
regained.
never be
Yeah.
gained.
You've
So
lost it for life.
if you allow someone to cross that boundary once, it is very difficult to draw the line in the sand after. Now, I've made a couple of videos. You saw my video on TikTok. It's a bit harsh. Got a little bit of a backlash.
No. Can I just say, by the way,
Yes.
when I said to you, it's one of the best videos I've seen, I meant it. It is one of the bravest, boldest, most incisive, like really insightful video. And I've sent it to a lot of my friends. And literally a friend today said, this is so good. And he messaged me again today. He doesn't even know you. He's a dentist. He says, he repeated the message. He said, this is so good. This should be, what your video was, should be compulsory viewing. Honestly, make that into a course. Because that video can save a lot of marriages. That video is wisdom. That is wisdom from an older brother like you that can save a lot of marriages. Because we go in to marriage with our heads held low. We should be proud men, not arrogant men, but proud men.
Yes.
Not like this, not like a puppy to the father-in-law, but like a proud man who's here to elevate him as well and his daughter. But we go in like little spineless men, and then they walk all over us. That video was a great wake-up call to a lot of men to utilize what Allah's given you, the 3 talaqs.
Yes.
And I fully back that. People who I didn't read the comments, but I can imagine people that were against it would have been guys who probably have not got many. Probably got a low sperm count or something.
Bit of a trigger. It was a trigger video. Yeah. Just to clarify, it's a video that says, "Do not be scared to use one talaq with the father-in-law," or something like that. But I'll put a link into that video in the description. Okay, look. So talking about that now, let me ask you a question now and tackle this from a different angle. Yeah. Now, father-in-laws, yeah, they are men ultimately. They're old school. They are old school, so they should be even more
Attuned.
attuned to being just themselves as in a
Yeah.
man and understand this is another young man. So what has happened, especially, and this is, let's be honest, this is more a problem from the Asian community, yeah? So what has happened where father-in-laws have started to look down upon son-in-laws like this, and from this controlling element of like, we'll have him batting for our team, or if he's a nice guy, you know how it is, if it's a nice guy's game over, man, you're expected to move in next door, you're expected to dojo, man, you're expected to move in with them. I don't know I don't know what they expect. I don't understand why our community, and especially elder men, you know what I mean? Look, could you maybe give us some insight? What do you think? How that's happened?
Okay.
Firstly,
These are spineless men who have a low testosterone count, who are usually whipped by their wife. If you look at the dynamics, by the way, a lot of these men who are become very dysfunctional father-in-laws are usually whipped by their own wives. They don't have that masculine frame. When you've got the masculine frame, you respect another man. You know he's a man. He's your son-in-law. Respect
yeah,
him, man to man. But they trying to impose their authority on you from early doors, and that sets a bad precedent. And they see you as an extension of their family.
yes, it's the subconscious language,
Yeah,
like you said.
exactly. And you want an extension of their family. She is now your family, and she will, through her, you're going to get your progeny.
Okay,
As a son-in-law, he is not your son.
okay, let's strip this back for a minute now, yeah. So, say our father-in-laws, as in that generation, yeah, who are now in their 60s and whatnot, late 50s, probably 60s, some in their 70s, yeah. They are from a culture where they understand more than us this idea that this lady, this woman has married into my family. She's part of my progeny, my bloodline. Your children will carry that name, your family name. They are from that generation that understand that well, and their fathers were they've grown up at a time where their fathers were even more
Yeah,
just straight and stoic. Like, you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
They weren't that. How can I put it? Like, they were a lot more.
yeah.
What's the word I'm
Man,
going? Yeah, they were a
just
lot more
manly.
manly.
No,
Okay,
their fathers
so
were, but these guys aren't though.
but they witnessed. But look,
These
if
guys
we,
aren't.
if
I've
look,
seen them so many times in my experience. These guys are very effeminate men.
have they become like that over time? You
Yeah, they
think?
have become that, and a lot of them have their own trauma and baggage. They're in their wife's back pocket. If you ask the dynamics, their wife, i.e., the girl's mother, i.e., your mother-in-law, is the dominant. Usually, sometimes he's the breadwinner. She's the dominant person in that household. So they have no respect for another man who comes into their life. That man being their son-in-law, they have no respect for him because they don't respect their own selves. A lot of these men are very, very wimpish, cowardly men who were codependent on their wife. Therefore, when another man comes, they see that as an attack on their fragile masculinity, and they're trying to impose control from early doors. Whereas a real man would see him, i.e., the son-in-law, as an addition to his masculinity, not as a threat, but as a supplement.
Okay, I understand that fully. Yeah, I'm just trying to think because of the amount of this behavior that we've seen. So let's say there was you heard a few cases, yeah.
Mhm.
In all the cases that are now coming out, especially in the Muslim community, divorce, separation, with all the fathers, there's always that pattern. Father-in-law was trying to indirectly or indirectly not giving the son-in-law that respect. You're stepping on his toes. Always, that challenging energy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
coming also from the father-in-law standard pattern.
Okay, can I just say, sorry, interrupt. I want to not describe it as challenging. I want to describe it as feminine energy. Because this is not
Okay.
masculine. A masculine man is indifferent.
Yes.
Like I mentioned in the last episode, men are indifferent to other men.
Okay, I've got it. This is what I was
It's
trying.
feminine
Okay.
energy.
No, this is the point I was making.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Now, tell me if this is possible. Yeah, because like you suggest, if feminine energy and masculine energy, this is like an unspoken law and language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say you're some young man now, young lad in his 20s. he's from the culture of respect again. And this is where I think respect is seen as effeminate energy. Hence, the father-in-law is trying to. Okay, my point is this. So let's say, for example, we put that element aside that the father-in-law is under the thumb. Yeah, let's park that to one side for a minute. Yeah, let's talk about energy then. Son-in-law's come in. He's not well versed in these relations, in-law, father. He just, says
respects him. He's an older
he
man.
just sees it as uncle, respect,
Yeah, yeah.
father-in-law, father. He has his mood swings, whatever. So he has not. So when the father-in-law's coming, okay, let me put it this way: the son-in-law's coming. He's just a nice guy. He's just a nice lad. He doesn't exert his. He doesn't exuberate that masculine energy because he's a very neutral guy. Yeah? Not everyone can exuberate that energy. Yeah. Father-in-law, unwritten language is the subconscious language. He's picked up on this energy.
Yeah.
So
and he pounces like a hyena.
So this is what I'm saying. So the father had no intention of being. He's only responding with that energy because of the energy he's picked up of you, and you're thinking in your head,
I'm trying to be a nice guy. I'm trying to be a nice guy.
respectful.
Yeah.
This is dad.
Yeah, exactly.
What? He's having a dig at me. Of course he's not. This is dad. I'm being respectful.
And then it builds up over time, and then creates the frame.
Yeah, but this is exactly what I'm saying. So if you don't address it, what we've just said initially, because number one, you don't have to articulate this. You don't know how to deal with this. You've never had a father-in-law before. You don't know if he's within his boundaries or not. My point is, if you're not educated on these boundaries, you've not come from a family where you've experienced and witnessed these relations firsthand. But like I said, until you get married and you're a father-in-law, you'll never have experienced that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or unless you're just a very switched-on guy, or you've got a short fuse where you think, hold on, like, I hate to use the word, you're a bit ghetto and you think, oh, he's taking the piss out of me, and you switch, If you're that sort of guy. You're just a normal, straight down the line dude. Let's say, for example, you're a medical student, you're well spoken, you're a nice guy. So if you sat there being polite, maybe he picked up on the fact that his subconscious radar is maybe he's picked up that this guy's easy. Subconscious programming, the feminine energy, he can back for our team.
Let me.
Do you think then he's natural? I'm saying he's done it subconsciously because you've not taken the frame, masculine language. He's automatically taken the frame because you never filmed it.
Yeah.
So when you went there, you're being respectful. In his mind, he's not taking the frame. I got this. I'm controlling the frame. What's going on in his house? Do you see what I'm saying? Is that a response from the energy the son-in-law initially gives because he's unaware of this language? He's not trying to articulate it, and he doesn't know the boundaries because he's never been in these relationships.
You don't, because if it's your first marriage and you're in your 20s, you wouldn't have.
And after that, if you've never
been married,
after that, if you're a good person, you've never been a dean, you've not a girlfriend, you've not lived with a woman, so you've got even less.
Yeah, exactly. You come in as a blank slate. Okay, so it's all done in good faith. Okay. My advice to the guys listening is less is more. Robert Greene talks about this in the 48 Laws of Power. Scarcity creates value. If you're there every weekend at your in-laws' house, they're going to naturally see you as an extension of their family. Drop your wife off, go back. I know one brother.
Okay, just to dissect this, just so people get the message. In order to establish a boundary initially, do not spend too much time.
No, do not. Because familiarity breeds contempt. I know one brother who drops his wife off. He comes from a 4-hour drive. Drops his wife off to her parents once a month. Stays at the hotel, which is not far from where they live. He said, on principle, I'm not staying. This is the principle. Once they've had you over for one night, then 2 nights, it becomes a week. They see you as their son. But
is that not a good thing? That's love, isn't it? Oh, sorry. Can you just chuck me that bottle of water there, please? Sorry, man. Okay, thank you, brother. Cheers, man.
No. Okay.
Is that not a good thing? Like
it's not a good thing.
Or is that just being too naive? No. Is that being naive?
It's not a good thing. Okay, it's not a good thing because a son is your progeny. You have rights over them. You don't have the same rights over your son-in-law.
No, I get that, but from just building a bond with, say, because this is a union of families, You've got married, this is a union of families. If your heart is clean and you go in as, yes, on some level, that is your father-in-law, yes, the boundaries you understand he's not your dad, but you give him the respect of a father, an uncle, from a good place. So, and if he gives you a position in his heart, legitimately where he sort of calls you son, can that not be seen as a good thing? So someone might think, wow, such a lovely guy.
Yeah, but then it blurs the boundaries, because then when he sees you as a son, he automatically sees you less, because a father always sees himself as more than the son, which in Islam is right. When he sees you as a son, he'll automatically see you as less of a man. So never let this is a big downfall of our South Asian culture. We infantilize our children, and then by extension, we infantilize our in-laws, particularly the men that come into our lives as son-in-laws, because we're saying he's like a son. I treat my son like a baby, so he's like a baby. In fact, he's actually a man.
It just blurs. Okay,
He's
it
a man that's asking your daughter's hand, so respect him as a man.
If you okay, the bottom line is this: if you spend too much time there or excessive time, it will blur the boundaries.
Absolutely, they'll see you as a son. Definitely do not sleep over. Definitely do not go very often.
So okay, so let's say for arguments, let's put it in practice. Let's say they live within driving distance. So on the weekend, Mr. wants to go there. You go along, sit there with for a couple of hours. Say, right, I'll leave you to it. You want to do a sleepover, kids play, whatever. I've got work, whatever. Politely, respectfully, then disappear just to maintain those boundaries. So by lack of exposure, you are automatically creating a boundary.
Exactly, but also the thing is, a lot of men don't have anything to do on the weekends. So they say, "Let me go to the in-laws." You should be a man. You should be on the weekends at the gym, working on your business, doing something productive. So you don't have time to spend a weekend at your in-laws. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but let me put it another way then, because this is where people don't see these boundaries, because it's disguised with love in some cases. Yeah. So a lot of cases, for example, you go around, you know, they give you love and respect and tea and no, stay, and you feel obliged because they're showing you all this love. Because sometimes I feel it is disguised within the love. These digs, and this is where I think, and this is where I think a lot of youngsters, and I myself very easily get caught out with this. I have been, where you think, well, they're feeding me, they're showing me, they look genuine and affection, and in between, from a community perspective, they don't tell you directly. It's little indirect jabs, like so they're cutting your liver out while they're feeding you, sort of thing. You don't see anything. Nah, it's me. I'm being paranoid.
It's death by a thousand cuts.
Yes,
and it's. I'm not denying it's coming from a place of good. From a place of good faith. It is absolutely. It's coming from a place of good faith. But if there's free alcohol there, would you take it? No, you wouldn't take it, would you? No. Free alcohol, it's free. So they're giving you love, etc. But you're not understanding. Yeah, you're not understanding what that excessive time you're spending with your in-laws is doing to your frame as a man. Maintain the frame, and this whole thing now is switched. Before it used to be the evil mother-in-law from the boy side, Bollywood dramas, but now it's switched. I think the girl's family want the control of the guy.
I think
they're controlling the frame. He's supposed to be at theirs more than he is, and she is at his parents.
He's batting for that team, and this is where all the fathers, I'm sure you spoke to loads, where that pattern is the same. They're calling the shots. It's their kid. That's their grandson. You're just a passenger.
Exactly.
You're a passenger in your own relationship, in your own marriage.
You know what? A shout out to Brother Ahmed and the brothers at Muslim Father Support Forum.
MFSF.
Really good work, guys, and may Allah bless you. They're raising awareness of the plight of Muslim fathers who have their own children estranged from their parents. So the kinship has been cut. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls this a big sin in the Quran. And who's done that? The mother and her family have cut the ties of kinship from the father's progeny. Because in Islam, the boy takes the father's surname. Actually, the woman doesn't even have to take the husband's name. She can't, but the son must take the father's name because he is a direct continuation of his lineage. And then the mother and her family see the grandchildren as theirs, not the father's side of the family, cut the ties of kinship. And how can they face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Yawm al-Qiyamah? They have no foresight. They have no foresight about the next life. They're just thinking about this life. What can we get from it?
Yeah, no, and like I've heard from other learned people that breaking ties of kinship is just after kufr. And for some reason, when it comes to this, even practicing families forget all of this when it comes to this child contract. Right, look, this has been quite an intense exchange. Let's go to a quick break. Also, I want to give a shout out to Brother Ahmed from MFSF and all the admin brothers and all the brothers on there that are really, help supporting fathers, and all the other Mackenzie Friends and Fathers groups that are supporting fathers out there. We'll go to a quick break and jump back. Do me a favor, just click the older.
Bismillah.
Right, we are back. That was quite an intense exchange. Again, my head's spinning. So let's dissect, look, a little bit further into this, yeah? How has the balance, we know
The Bollywood one, which is evil mother-in-law.
the gender war. Let's call it the gender
Yeah.
war, where
On the guy's side.
where
But now it's flipped. The tables
power
are turned.
gender war is playing out. The power lays with the women. Yeah, is this a knock-on effect of the laws we have in place, family court system, last 40 years, that now dictate this behavior and throwing their weight around? Put it another way. So,
Okay.
mother-in-laws, women, generally all communities throwing their weight around. Is it that's contributed to this aggressive? Because look, this is not just done lightly, this is done aggressively. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's done aggressively and deliberately.
And openly, like
Yeah.
there's no even shame about it.
No. So to answer your question, I think the answer is no. I don't think societal conditioning is penetrating South Asian households. What I do think is happening, though, is men have progressively got weaker. So I always look at the
Okay,
father-in-law.
right.
So the father-in-law you're talking about, if he was a strong masculine man on deen, he would not allow this to happen. He would not be under the thumb of his wife.
Okay, let me counter that then, in the sense that, so nothing's changed in the sense that women still have the frame they had, men had their frame, yeah? So what's happened is, and this is what I'm saying, have men lost their masculine frame,
Yeah.
cross community cultures, environment, because of the laws in place in the West? Do you see what I'm saying? So the masculinity has been affected by the law, in it, by that societal conditioning, which has now affected, let's say, testosterone. Yeah, it's affected testosterone. Is an accepted condition that men have to slightly toe the line subconsciously, because at the end of the day, conditioned to believe kids that belong to her, they're going to go with her.
Exactly.
So as you said, the frame, it's just the frame has changed for the men, which has now caused this to get out of control. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the frame for men has changed because of the laws in place, family court system, conditioning of the last 40 years.
Yeah, 100%. So I think it was Martin Luther King. He said, all that is required for evil to take hold, for evil to prevail.
Good men stay silent.
Exactly. So it is the apathy, the indifference of good men who have allowed this to happen. Because look, if you're a Muslim man, I know many families that the man is strong, he's on deen, he prays, he knows how to read the Quran, he leads his family in Jamaat, and he's like, I'm not letting my family be infiltrated with this cancer of feminism. I'm protecting my daughters, getting them married young, I'm protecting my sons as well. I'm going to make them into men. And he protects the frame. He is a man of the house. He's a rajul. He's a shepherd of the house. That's unfortunately the minority now. The majority of men, like the generation above us, are under the thumb of their wives. They are codependent on their wives.
Think about this then now, yeah? Okay, so let's say we take that for a minute, yeah? Or is it, this what, as we said earlier, before the break, yeah, that is it that maybe they are masculine men, it's just the young men now are subconsciously conditioned to be less masculine, hence, do you see what I'm saying? So look, if we take this position, what you're saying is these father-in-laws, because they're under the thumb, they're not in charge, and that is what's playing out.
Yeah.
Or I think it could be the case that they have got the frame, yeah? Because I know some sort of old school type of father-in-laws, but because they're old school and they're stronger character, they saw the situation and thought, yeah, I can have them batting for my team, which protects my interest, my progeny, my daughter. So then they start, how can I put it? They try and alpha male you. That's the word. But are they alpha mailing him because these young men in their 20s now, they're not as masculine as the older school because of the conditioning we're brought up in? Are you with me?
Yeah, so that is another word that begins with M, called manipulation.
Okay.
Men do not manipulate. Women manipulate. Men do not manipulate. So if he's doing that, and he's got an ulterior motive to bring his son-in-law onto his team, he is not a real man.
But he's doing it. Okay.
Because a real man will let his son-in-law thrive.
Okay, so let me
And
put it another
he
way,
wouldn't
yeah.
see him as a competition.
No, I get that, but there's an element of, how can I put it? Maybe I'm just naive, yeah. Would you not? Could he be looking at it from the point that if he's not a strong character, he's easygoing. Let's use the word. He's laid back. He's easygoing. I'll just manipulate or alpha male him because he's got that. You already respect him. He's older. He's like an uncle, father-in-law. You respect him. Plus, he's old school masculine. You're just laid back, early 20s, got married, thinking, well, we're playing happy families,
Yeah.
Bollywood, being respectful. Dad's father-in-law seen this and I thought, right, my best interest, as much as I should respect him as a man who's going to look after my daughter when I'm long gone, he's thinking, listen, if I can play the game right, this guy will serve my daughter because I'm looking at for my own. You're still an outsider, innit?
Okay, and therein lies the problem. You mentioned something there called play the game. Men shouldn't play games. It's very feminine,
okay,
so it's not masculine at all. He might be old school masculine,
but yeah, I see what you mean.
playing feminine games.
Okay.
So men should be indifferent to other men, particularly their son-in-laws. He's a man. Leave him. Let him get on. If you've entrusted your daughter to him, and let them live their life. Why are you trying to bring him onto your side? But the thing is, though, a lot of these men don't entrust their daughter to
Okay, is that cool? Okay, so all right, now you've touched on that, yeah? I understand what you're saying now, yeah? But does that then mean that because, well, if he was nicer and respectful, young, and playing happy families, he hasn't commanded any respect from the father-in-law. So ultimately, because the father-in-law is, say, either he's got a masculine frame or he's playing the game, he doesn't respect this person as a man. Or he doesn't respect him just as another human being, so he will push the boundaries.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah, 100%. So how do you how do you
How do you
uphold
establish
exactly.
the boundary to start with
Okay.
then?
A distance and scarcity? So, like Robert Greene says, what something is valuable. We're just talking about mercury here. Mercury is not that valuable because it's very commonly found. Gold is more valuable. Platinum, even more valuable than gold. Diamond, even more valuable than platinum. So the higher you climb in terms of rarity, the more precious it gets. Same thing with time. As a man, do not be going to the house every weekend, or when you go there, spend 8 hours, or even worse, sleeping over. Value your time, and then create value in his eyes for you.
Okay, let's strip this back then, yeah? So let's now, because you understand, you can do that. Okay, for the fact that he's happy for you to marry his daughter, he must have seen something in you. Either he's going along with the daughter's choice, or he's approved of it because he's thought, well, he's not a bad lad, right?
No, but majority of the times, and that was the point I was making earlier. Majority of the time, the father does not have a say in his daughter choosing to marry because he's under the thumb anyway. It's his wife that has to say. And in Islam, this is completely wrong.
No, but he joins in on the games. That's the problem.
Yeah, he joins in the game.
Okay, look, if he was under the thumb, right, and he had no say, I could almost feel sorry for that guy, thinking, poor father-in-law got issues, yeah? But the problem is here that there's being under the thumb yourself and there's engaging in the games.
Yeah, there's feminine games.
It's
petty, childish games.
Digs, indirect digs instead of a straight man-to-man. Listen, son, like,
exactly.
Man-to-man.
He shouldn't have to do that. The thing is, he's been under his wife's thumb for so long. His testosterone's tanked. The estrogen's up. I did a video about this yesterday. A test and estrogen. If you look at your father-in-law, he's probably got moves. Like his estrogen is up the roof. Test is down there. So he's playing feminine games. Get rid. Just drop her off and go.
Okay, no, I got that. Okay, so the point I'm trying to get to is this. So look, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So you've met a girl, right?
Yeah.
You've met the family, father-in-law see you, you're being polite and respectful, and this is where these interactions, we've got to dissect into these interactions, because look, by the time that first weekend comes where you've dropped her off, and he starts disrespecting you, say, from the first weekend, he's already decided what he thinks about you before then, yeah? So this is what I'm saying. If you haven't established a respect, like from a man-to-man level, you haven't sat there with him and given off that energy already, he's already decided. So my point is, you can minimize at that point by say reducing contact, going back and forth. Yeah, it's just collateral damage. But you need to establish that
From the
respect
beginning.
and boundary first. So
Yeah.
how would you articulate to the youngsters that are now, say, this summer looking to get married, they're going to go see potentials and spouses, they're going to have their first meetings with their father-in-law, because this respect, look, he's already measured you up on that first meeting, yeah. So let's talk about a masculine friend. You see another man, yeah. Subconsciously, you've already looked at him. You've seen, okay, what's he all about? Do you know what I'm saying? Where is he? You position him in your head somewhere, like, what's the score with this geezer, yeah. So during that first, second, third meeting, before it gets to the stage where you're doing the back and forth with the in-laws, he's already decided what he thinks about you.
Yeah.
So we need to establish or get the youngsters out there now who are looking to get married. How do you establish that frame? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Or do you just keep contact minimal, or do you have to be a little bit assertive and
Yeah, yeah.
alert? Because I said this, I made another video. I don't know if you've seen that one, yeah. When you initially go in, if as a man, this is what I'm saying, you may not understand it in your mind because you don't have experience in this relationship, but you do understand when someone's disrespected. You feel that, you feel it in your gut, yeah?
Yes.
You know when someone's just poking you a little bit, yeah? Should you at that point just dig deep, get enough courage and call it out on the spot? These are early days, don't get me wrong. Politely, respectfully though, look him in the eye. So he knows I can't get away because they're gonna put a few feelers out there. If you don't respond, they're thinking, yeah, this one's good to go. They've already decided. So how would you articulate that to the youngsters to make it clear that when you walk in, don't walk in as a boy, walk in as a man.
Yeah.
Do not be scared to speak your mind politely and respectfully.
Yeah.
But if they don't respect you at that point,
Exactly.
you've already lost. You're an uphill battle.
The advice I'll give to the guys, young guys, particularly who are inexperienced in the marriage market, is be direct, be firm, but be polite. You don't have to be rude or obnoxious, but be direct. Don't bottle your feelings up. The moment you bottle your feelings up, it builds resentment, and it builds the father-in-law's frame against you. It builds a narrative around you, saying he's easy pickings. Let me dig more and more and more. And like Farouk said in his first video, draw the line clearly. Draw the line clearly. I'm a man. I've got my boundaries and principles. I've got my non-negotiables. I've got my clear, intransgressible, non-negotiable red line here. And neither the father-in-law, nor the mother-in-law, nor the brother or sister-in-law can go beyond these boundaries. You can establish that from day one, and he'll respect you. Trust me, he will respect you more. It's not good. It's not going to be awkward. It might be a difficult conversation, but it won't be awkward. Okay, you need to just muster up the courage, and this is what we teach at the University of Masculinity. You know, having difficult conversations. Your ability, your life trajectory, is solely determined by your ability to have difficult conversations. Better job, better spouse, better relationships with that spouse and her family, simply by having the foresight to have these difficult conversations in flesh, not bottling up and speaking on WhatsApp and saying, "By the way, Dad, what you said didn't make me, it didn't fill me with confidence, so I didn't like what you said." Say it to him directly. And like Farouk said, another way to do that is to bring the family together and say, "Look, the way you're speaking to me, I'm not going to take." And you need to establish boundaries from the day one. In addition to subsequently decreasing contact. By decreasing contact, they will respect you more. They'll respect your time more. When you do come over, they're like, "This guy doesn't even never comes over." Compared to the son-in-law who's always there, who's part of the wallpaper, who's there like a puppy, he becomes very easy to manipulate like a spoon. You can't do that. As a man, you've got to have value. Your weekends are full of purpose. Go to the gym, pick up a hobby, do something every single day is held to account. You have no days free as a man. When you drop off your wife to her parents' house, do not spending hours and hours watching Netflix. That's when the respect will dwindle because they will see you as a girl who's got free time. Get to the gym, get in great shape, level up your finances, level up in every single conceivable way, and value your time. When you value your time, they will value you.
Yeah, guys, I just want to reiterate that point. Respect, elders, community respect. We hold that as a community. We should keep that and hold that. But respect is also a two-way thing.
Yeah.
If you feel it in your gut, it's not in your head, it's in your gut, he's happening, he's crossing a boundary, he's making you feel uncomfortable. You have to muster up the courage, stand your ground, because it's like a bully. If you let it go once, it's only going to grow and get worse. I know one case specifically as well. After many years of this boundary getting pushed and pushed, father-in-law even said to his son-in-law in one specific case, I don't think you should have more than 2 kids in the Asian community, bro. It's just not heard of, is it? You shouldn't. It shouldn't get that far. If it's got that far already, it's gone. So look, guys. Just you need to establish it immediately.
Feminine father-in-laws will say this kind of nonsense that Brother Farouk told about in the case. They'll say this kind of nasty, petty nonsense, which is designed
Petty nonsense, yeah.
designed to land. A real father-in-law, a masculine father-in-law, will support his son-in-law in whatever way, but not step on his toes, not dictate his family number, not dictate where he lives, where they spend the weekends. And in some cases, I've had brothers phoning me saying, my father-in-law just rocks up at the house and starts doing DIY on my house.
Yeah,
just rocks up.
The other thing I'll say as well, like people don't realise, father-in-law offers to come and paint around your house, DIY around. Do not, listen. No other man should be touching your tools.
No. Trust me, that is highly emasculating for a guy. Highly emasculating.
Someone else, in your house making decisions. It should not happen. Do not allow this. Sorry, Karen.
No, 100%. And it's emasculating. The father-in-law doing it from love. Yes, he is doing it from love for his daughter. That's fine. That's understandable. But at the same time, he's stepping on your toes as a man. He's taking away your masculinity. He's emasculating you. Do not settle for that. You as a man, set the frame. It's your house. Even if it's a rented 1-bedroom, that's your castle. That's your mansion. You protect that like a territorial man. That is your kingdom. And your wife and your children or your progeny, you protect them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Al-Rajul al-Kawamuna al-Nisa. He is the protector and provider, maintainer for the women, not her father, not her brother. So maintain boundaries, be respectful, but do not be a doormat.
All right, I think let's go to a short break, and we'll jump on to the next subject. Yeah, do you mind doing the honours? Right, Dr. Asif, let's swiftly move on. Obviously, time is short. With everything we've talked about, I think it makes sense to talk about testosterone levels. Now, I've seen on social media platforms, we've talked about it before, we talked about it last time, where testosterone levels globally have dropped. Now, what I don't understand is obviously testosterone being within biology, within the human body, how can they be affected globally, and how did we get here, and what do we need to do about this?
Right, okay. So many reasons have been postulated for testosterone to be in decline. So one of the reasons is the use of oral contraceptive pills, so OCP, high in estrogen, that's being flushed out into the water, and then men are drinking this water, increasing estrogen levels, increasing test levels as well. Other things is like plastics. Plastics are made from what? From plants and petroleum chemicals, which are again from plant-based substances, high in soy, high in carcinogens as well. Other things is increased obesity. We know obesity levels can directly impact testosterone levels because the more fatty tissue you hold, the more the increased rate of aromatization. Aromatization is where your testosterone gets reduced into estrogen. So the more fat you hold as a man, the lower your testosterone will be. So the best advice I give to any man is before building muscle is to lose fat. So there's been many reasons, sitting as well, mobile phone use, chemicals in the water, just generally men being encouraged to be less manly. So if you're behaving in a certain way, your test levels will decrease anyway. If you're spending so much time not being manly and not doing, playing sports, not being competitive, being mollycoddled and playing PS4, your test levels will naturally decrease anyway. So there's a lot of social factors, cultural factors, educational factors, so many things are happening where men's testosterone levels have plummeted to like almost half of what they were for the same age group 40 years ago.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, just thinking aloud to a certain degree, right? You know, some guys, they're just a one-man show. They're a lone wolf. They don't do groups. Like they're just like that. My personality. I mean, would that affect it?
Absolutely. Men have always been in packs, and your company has a huge influence on your biochemical makeup. If you're spending a lot of time around women, watching Netflix and eating popcorn every night, your test levels will decrease. If you're spending a lot of time around men, wrestling, hiking, gymming, working out, even just in their company, messing around, your test levels will increase.
Okay, so let's say you've got um, a normal sort of guy, yeah, around other guys who are a lot more, how can I put it, aggressive in their nature.
Yeah.
Hence, it is difficult to sometimes, even for a man, be in an environment with guys who are all aggressive, because then you have to be a little bit, you have to give off this certain frame
Yeah.
yourself. Now, I'm just talking from a layman's perspective, and sometimes that's just like hard work. You think
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
hard work being around these guys because
Yeah.
I can't chill. It's just too, you're constantly trying to hold frame.
Yes.
Now, because of that, you might think, I like hanging out with these guys or those
Yeah.
guys or hanging about with these men because it's hard work trying to hold frame all the time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how would, is that because they naturally have low testosterone? Is that a personality thing, or is that something that can be fixed?
Yeah.
Or is there nothing wrong with that? It's fine if that's who you are.
Yeah, because it could be a natural variation. So you could be introvert, they could be extrovert,
Okay,
and
all
there's
right, that
nothing
makes
wrong.
sense. All right, yeah, that's a
There's,
better way to put it. Yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. And the other thing is, some people are more competitive than others.
Okay,
Just
yeah,
naturally,
yeah.
they've got more of a type A personality. They're very competitive. You could be more of a type B. Type B is a bit more laid back. So it could be the natural variation of personalities and nothing to do with testosterone. However, if you got low sex drive, low energy, just low drive to accomplish your goals, you find it difficult to lose fat and build muscle, your appetite's gone, etc., then definitely get your testosterone checked out. It could be that you are deficient. And also, in the summer months, get vitamin D because vitamin D directly impacts testosterone, directly impacts it.
Okay, does diet, as in, can can diet make a big difference to it, or it just helps?
It makes a big difference. So if you're eating processed foods, fatty, fried foods, lots of refined carbohydrates, particularly foods high in estrogen, like soy and these vegan things, all these ultra processed vegan patties and seitan, and they call seitan and tofu. These are all plant based. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made meat halal. Eat meat, eat it properly, ethically sourced meat, eat it, incorporate that into part of your diet, and eat a lot of fats. Fat doesn't make you fat. So eat
Healthy fats.
healthy fats. Yeah, eat the olive oils, avocados, the nuts, the fatty fish. Fat doesn't make you fat. What makes you fat is lack of exercise and overconsumption of food.
Okay, look, I've just had a concerning thought here. Tell me if I'm wrong or I'm being paranoid now, yeah? What you said about the soya, beans, vegan stuff, yeah? The mainstream media is pushing this vegan stuff out. Like,
Exactly.
uh, is this a
Yeah,
coincidence?
it's trying to feminize men. It's not coincidence. It's very well planned. Let's chemically castrate men. Before, back in the days, they'd give men the snip. They literally give men the snip. I'm not talking about circumcision. I'm talking about castration.
Yeah.
They
I know.
they
Yeah,
snip
yeah.
it, bang,
Just
done,
yeah.
and he becomes a very effeminized man.
Placid,
Yeah,
yeah.
very placid man.
The eunuch, yeah.
Eunuch, yeah, exactly. They're called eunuchs.
Yeah.
And they'd then serve in the female quarters. They'd be very subservient men, no sex drive. That was a physical castration. Now men are chemically castrated over time.
Yeah, but, okay, this is scary. Look, we stumbled onto this now. When you said about the soy and the beans stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, what is to be? Okay, let's put it another way. So let's look at the bigger plan.
By the way, beans are fine. Beans are fine. It's the processed foods like the soy, the tofu, all these things that weren't there 100 years ago. There was no tofu 100 years ago.
No.
There was no seitan and these faken, these fake meats, they call them faken, fake bacon, and
Oh yeah.
random soy patties, like
Yeah.
these vegan.
Vegan meat, vegan chicken
Yeah,
burger,
yeah, well, yeah.
vegan beef burger.
They weren't around 100 years ago. Corn, like, get off that. That wasn't around 100 years ago. Corn mince, forget that. Eat, if you're going to be vegetarian, eat your chickpeas, your legumes,
Lentils. The lentils are
Yeah.
meant to be good for you, so to speak, isn't it?
No, they're very good. Lentils are very high in folate. Lentils are good. But my heuristic, my rule of thumb is if it wasn't around 100 years ago, don't eat it. If it wasn't around 100 years ago, don't eat it. Simple as that.
Okay, this is worrying. Look, okay, it goes back to this. So look, everything we discussed on the last podcast, this podcast, then obviously we've had discussions. Haven't had a chance to talk about family court system directly. We'll have to catch up another time. But the conversation we've had off camera about the family court system, the processes, everything. When you take all of this, the masculinity, what the red pills say, everything about chemicals in the water, the veganism angle, you could potentially look at it like that. Um, how do you? What's the word I'm looking for? Like, what do you think the bigger plan is? One second, let me just check on the battery there. Yeah, still low battery now. Let's go for it. Right, apologies. We had technical issues once again. So now it's been plagued with obstacles, but we still persevere. Now, we were, before we got cut off, I was just talking about family court system, low testosterone levels, the gender wars playing out, the child contact denial, all the obstacles. When you add all of this up, what do you, I mean, I can't make heads or tails of it, and we can only go back to scripture and some spirituality, back to religion. Obviously, we're Muslim, back to Islam. I think has to be some bigger agenda to. I don't know. What do you think? Can you
Okay.
shed a little bit on this and conclude maybe on this?
I think it's a really good way to conclude because this all fits very nicely with Islam. So the prophetic prediction of the biggest fitna will be Dajjal. Okay? Rasul says the biggest fitna facing mankind in history will be Dajjal.
For those who are non-Muslims, the Dajjal is known as the Antichrist from other scriptures like the Bible and potentially the Torah, I presume.
Yeah. So the Antichrist. And the Prophet then qualified this by saying when he arrives, he will deceive people. He will be the great deceiver. He will say, I am Christ. I am God as well. He will say many things. He'll show people hell, but that will be heaven, and vice versa. He will appear to bring people back to life, and people will believe him. Then the Prophet of God said, peace be upon him, majority of his followers will be women. This is authentic narration, by the way. This might not have made sense in 6th century Arabia.
Yeah.
Why will, even if majority of his followers are women, doesn't make a difference because women are generally subservient to men, like the Quran has described. Man is the leader of the family household. So even if majority of his followers are women, doesn't make any difference because the whole world order at the time was, look at the Romans, the Persians.
There were men were pretty much in charge of building the world,
running the world. Women were at home raising babies, making boys, producing armies by having many children. So I would have thought to be a fly on the wall at that time in Arabia when the Prophet of God told us this, foretold this prophecy, that majority of the followers of the accursed one will be women. They would have been, nonplussed perhaps. Okay? Now, fast forward 1.5 millennium. 1.5 millennia later, that prophecy is ever more real. The majority of his followers will be women. Now, if that does transpire, the whole world will follow him. Because power, jobs, degrees, where are they going? More towards women now. The legal systems are more towards women. So if women follow a particular narrative, the whole world will go that way. Do you understand?
Yeah, but they are already,
in 30, 40 years, in the last 30, 40 years, the whole narrative's changed in favor of women. So when he comes and women will follow him, the whole world will follow him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. See, okay, when you said like in the time of the Prophet, you would never have thought this. I'm thinking maybe even 40 years ago we wouldn't have thought this. Like, when's this? This is hundreds of years away.
Exactly.
Like,
and also,
20 years ago, we might not have thought, what does that mean?
Exactly. And they wouldn't have thought it on two levels. Firstly, they would have said, So what if women follow him? They're our wives, they're our daughters.
Yes, this is practicing sisters.
Yeah.
They're practicing sisters, like you said, in the front line of family court. They're
Yeah,
fully signed up.
exactly. So you would have thought, so what? What if women follow the Dajjal? It doesn't make a difference. They will still be under our command as the authority over them. Secondly, even if women follow him, we have strong enough men to fight against him. Now, two things have changed in the last 40 years. Men have got weaker, women have got stronger. So this is fertile stomping ground. This is all like a incubation period for him to arrive.
Add to that, men have been removed, fathers have been removed from children's lives.
Absolutely.
Add to that. Yes.
Exactly, because the hadith, the saying of the beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, further went on to say, a man, he would fear his wife and daughters and his mothers following the accursed one so much, he would want to chain them to the house. This is a hadith, by the way. You should search this. He said he'd fear them so much, he'd chain them, he'd lock them for fear of going and getting influenced. Now, who is the one that deceives women? Instagram selfies, filters, lighting, angles. Who's the one that deceives? In court, we talked about the Joker card.
Yes.
We talked about the Joker card. Deception. Deception is now
They've
rampant.
signed up. Even our
Yeah.
sisters, practicing sisters, Alim on the front line have accepted and embraced this.
Our sisters have embraced feminism as their deen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, have you not seen the one? Allah gives a rhetorical question. Have you not seen the one who takes his desires as their God? And we think, we're from the subcontinent. Shirk is not worshipping statues. Shirk is worshipping other than Allah. That could be a job, could be a career, your money. It could be worshipping the legal system.
Family court system.
And that's what they do.
Yeah.
They worship the legal court system. CMS has enriched more women
Incentivized.
than any lottery winner.
Yes.
It's a legalized lottery.
Yes.
Sisters are following this Dajjalic Ghaffaric system as opposed to Islam.
Yeah, so that has penetrated fully, and like I said, the shift of power is already there. Shift of power is with the sisters. They know they have the upper hand. They have been incentivized to behave a certain way and rewarded. Hence, the behavior of society will follow.
Yeah.
The father-in-laws and the brother-in-laws who support these sisters, unfortunately, are feeding into this. And the Joker card is ultimately used, which is the abuse card in family court, is used to then carry all of this out. And this all feeds into everything we've discussed in this podcast and the last podcast. And I think that's why we're doing these podcasts, ultimately to try and protect the generations of our community and other communities, all communities to come. Hopefully we can bring change. Right.
Inshallah.
Dr. Asif, thank you for putting up with all the technical problems, location problems, getting thrown out of the last venue, many issues. I am a prisoner, as you know. I'm hustling just to get by. So thank you for being patient. And guys, hopefully we'll have to, I think, do it again sometime with a stable environment where we can dissect even further. But thank you for coming once again.
Thank you, Farouk. My pleasure. Keep up the great work. Guys, Disqualified Dads, get the merchandise. Support his page, PayPal link in the description. Follow, subscribe, like, share the videos widely. We need to change the narrative here. Upper hand is unjustly given to women. There should be a sense of parity of esteem. It's not there. So we're here to change the narrative. Follow the page, Disqualified Dads, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Thank you, guys. See you in the next one. And that was Dr. Asif, over and out. Mic check 1, 2.
1, 2, 3.